whenever we talk about admissions, I think data, leveraging data being the backbone of it, right? And I'm going to speak with the people who are day in, day out doing the same. I think leveraging their data for smarter enrollments. So whenever we speak about data, we talk about sources, first of all. And whenever we talk about sources, we talk about gathering that we want to gather the data from. We talk about the investment also that is to be made in order to gather the data. And finally, we even want to know that what our budget looks like and how much budget we have optimized while taking whatever that we have invested, what is the result that we have got out of it. So I think I'll start with the first question with Burzeen sir only, right? And so what I would like is you please give a brief introduction about your institution, about yourself, and then we will move forward for the first question, which is like, what do you think, like what have been the most effective method for student outreach and collection of data, both online and offline, that have resulted in significant enrollment outcomes for your institution?
Hello. Yeah, hi. Good afternoon, everyone. I know, we've all come back after a good, nice lunch, but I would really request everyone to, because this is one of the most interesting topics which is there. As we all know, today, data has become one of the most important things. And before I get into answering the first question, I'll just give a brief introduction about myself. I am Burzeen Batena. I am the Director for Marketing and PR at Narsi Monji Institute of Management Studies, NMIMS. I'm sure as a brand, NMIMS needs no introduction. We've been as a B school. We started as a B school way back in 1981. We got a deemed to be university status in 2003, and we've come from just being a B school to today we have got 17 constituent schools across 8 campuses. We are of course centered at Mumbai, but we also have campuses across all other cities, major cities like Navi Mumbai, Indore, Hyderabad, Bangalore, Chandigarh. We also have campuses in the tier 2 towns at Dhule as well as at Shirpur. Shirpur, in fact, is our Chancellor's hometown. So it's very close to his heart, and it's something where we have got multiple schools, institutions, as well as a NMIMS campus. It is also a tech campus where we have programs only which is related to technology, that's engineering, pharma, a unique program of agriculture, that's one of the campuses where we have, and also an extremely unique program which is for textiles. The textiles program, in fact, the way it has been designed, it's very job oriented, which is designed so people of the local people who are there, they do this diploma and they actually get directly into the industry. Anyway, coming to, that's a little brief introduction about NMIMS University. Coming to the first question, the basic data collection, of course, it happens online as well as offline. Online, it gives you a much broader platforms. There are multiple touch points on online. The biggest touch point which is there is basically your search, because search is a very intent-driven platform. So whenever somebody is searching for your brand, searching for your program, or searching for a category of your program, for let's say somebody is searching for a BTech in computer science, that is where majorly your search starts. And so basically your data collection will directly map into your sales funnel. So you're building right from your awareness, desire. So your total IDA funnel which is there, your entire funnel will be covered over there. There are other touch points also, especially when it comes to undergraduate programs. The major difference is how do you collect data for undergraduate and postgraduate programs. So for postgraduate, that's not much of a challenge because these students are filling up the form themselves. For undergraduate, it's a little bit of a challenge because a lot of these students are underage. You have to be very careful when you're calling them. A lot of parents, brother, sister, they fill in the form. So you have to be extremely aware about whom you are going to reach out to. So that's another thing which is there. There are a lot of other online touch points which are there. You have your social media where today every from your teens to your 20s to your 30s, everybody is there on social media. And social is also, you have social commerce, and social commerce has really taken up since quite a few years. So social commerce plays a very important part. On the offline side, you have your career fairs which are there, which is one of the most easy way to get direct access to your students. But offline can also include reaching out through maybe other activations, maybe a mall activation, or in other ways. Of course, not all brands, especially when it comes to education, would like to go more on offline, because education is still considered to be sacrosanct and not something where you typically expect things to be sold in a mall. So, yeah.
I think well said, sir. I think so. Ruchi, I would like to have your viewpoint on this as well.
Absolutely. I'm just going to keep it very short and quick about Bocconi. First of all, Bocconi in Asia, or rather the SDA Bocconi Asia Center, has been here for about 12 years. And out of those 12 years, I've been there for 10 years. So pretty much started with a very small batch size to what we have today of 400. So I can probably, understand and tell you that what all things we have really tried to match up with, being in the country which is full of test taking, sort of a mindset. So as he rightly said, I think intent is what is most important in higher education, especially. And that's where the focus is. If I have the right TOEFL, which is the top funnel, and if I have that top funnel directed as an intent-driven data point, which means that if it is a test-taking country, I know that my audience is the test-taking folks. And that's how it sort of funnels down to the rest of the levels for us. Be it online or offline, I think intent is a very, very important aspect of creating that data set. So mass marketing is not something that we actually do also, given the mandates and given where Bocconi comes from. That's also a century-old university back then. Today, it ranks amongst the top 10 in Europe. Its flagship is amongst the top 5, which is above the Ivies and the Harvards and the Stanfords of the world. So I think we need to be really, really careful of what kind of brand that we position as, even in the Asian market. So for us, mass marketing has always been out of line for us, and hence very intent-driven, targeted advertising or targeted reach is what we would have always done. And so test taking, test prep, and so forth. So it's all about the finding right intent and right audiences just there. I'm not looking left, I'm not looking right, I'm just looking at that. That's it.
No, I think it's a great approach. So Sanjeev sir, definitely I would like to know your viewpoint, because the kind of portfolio that you have at your institution is totally different than what we are discussing right now. So you please shed some light on the topic that we're talking.
Yeah, hi, I'm Sanjeev and I represent NISM, National Institute of Securities Market. Our challenge is completely different. We have flood of data, right? We don't need to collect data, and my challenge is that how do we manage that data so that we are very focused on our different offerings. If you know about NISM's portfolio, we offer majority of NISM securities market certification programs. Close to 3.5 lakh students every year apply for different NISM certification, and more than 90,000 people apply for our ECPE and CPE programs. So you can imagine I collect 4 lakh plus intent without any effort, right? And they rather pay me for that, sharing their information. But my challenge is different, because apart from certification programs, we also have e-learning programs, we have short-term programs, and we also have long-term programs. So we get from the one single source, this 4.5 lakh people, those who come to us, I need to filter that data and leverage the data in order to sell my other products. Because these 4.5 lakh people are from different field of life. They are fresh graduates. Even I have now 9th class pass student appearing for a NISM certification, thanks to Whitehead HR creating, Whitehead Junior, in fact, I would say, awareness towards preparing people at as early as when they are in just the parents have conceived, right? And now what has happened? We recently saw a 5th class student applied for NISM certification, and 9th class student has already passed a equity derivative certification with a very high score. I myself in 40 years haven't cleared that exam, but a 9th class student has already cleared, right? So the flood of data which we have, now we have to filter and use that data for marketing our different programs. So we are using this Meritto and NoPaperForms for utilizing that particular data which comes to us. We collect the data in a different platform, but we put that data in marketing our e-learning programs and long-term programs in the NoPaperForms, and all automation and all these things help us in reaching out to the right kind of people in that. So my challenge is completely different. And with the SEBI affiliation, we are conducting, if you have known that we are conducting a national financial literacy quiz. So already 3.5 lakh students from graduate colleges have registered on our platform in the current last 5 months only. Right, these are other than the 4.5 lakh students, those who have appeared for certification examination. So you can understand my challenge, and data is the biggest challenge for me.
Correct. Rightly said, sir. So I think Kartiki ma'am, what do you think about this topic?
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for inviting me here today. I represent International Institute of Sports and Management, which is the pioneers in sports management education in India. We have formed this institute in the year 2010, and the former director is Mr. Nilesh Kulkarni, who has been a former Indian cricketer who has played India as well as international. Okay, so we offer currently UG and PG programs in sports management and sports science under University of Mumbai GICD, that's Garwari Institute of Career Education and Development. Currently, we have got around 900 plus students on campus, and we have around an alumni base of about 2,500 plus alumni who have been working successfully in the organizations like BCCI, Star Sports, Oman Cricket Association, ESPN, all of those. Today, while I have to highlight about the enrollments and how effectively we are going to use the data in our regular routine, what we have identified is we have been pretty strong onto the SEO because we are the pioneers in India, and it's been last 14 years. This is our 14th year rather, and we have started off with this institute in 2010. So it was always been a first mover advantage for us. So even if you look at sports management as a category education, I mean, even if you look that as a searches, if you search sports management education in India, you will always find ISM coming in at the top from an SEO perspective. So the enrollments, what we look at, I mean, if you see it, I mean, from an admission standpoint also, we get maximum enrollments through digital, that is organic, direct and referral. That has been our sources for the admission so far till date. Definitely, we harp upon the the offline and the online activities both. I mean, the BTL and the partners association, all of that bit as well. But the digital is something which has been working for us in this space for.
I think great. I think I would agree with it because just before the panel, I searched for ISM and it came on top.
Yeah,
I must tell you this, right? So that whom I will be sitting with. So I was just searching for it. So Ramesh, I'll pass on to Ramesh then. Yeah. So I wanted to start with, collection of data is one part, online, offline this is again one part. But what about being at SPGen, and what about our organic and direct traffic? How are we taking care of it? How we are leveraging that sort of data? I mean, if you could shed some light on that part.
Okay. Yeah. I'm Ramesh Mishra. So I represent SPGen Institute of Management and Research. In short form, we call it as SPGMR. As my other co-panelist has been talking about various challenges they are facing, I guess everybody over here is facing some kind of a challenges. For SPGen, I feel like right now in Indian market, we are a specialized standalone B school. So I'm sure like out of 5 candidates, almost 3 will be trying to pursue MBA. So that way our life is sorted. We don't have to be, rushing back like for textile or something different kind of a programs. So that way we are sorted. But that gives another challenge for us. We can't go with some kind of a junk leads, unwanted leads. That increases our cost also. In terms of everything. When it comes to nurturing of data, or say having whatever the space is getting occupied, or unwanted stuff. So we focus more on getting a very right focused kind of a candidates through various sources. That will give us a complete very good high conversion, maybe above industry standard also. That is one thing. Secondly, we are also very strong in SEO. We believe if your SEOs and everything are very strong, a lot of backlinks and other things, a lot of places are there. So we ensure that we are collecting database through right sources, and maximum conversions happen through organic the leads whatever we are generating through that one. As far as paid leads are concerned, so obviously we are I'm sure like everybody will agree over here, there are a lot of portals in the market who have been generating a lot of junk leads or something that way. So we ensure that junk leads are not coming with the right demographic profiling what we have done. So that gives us a minimization. We are collecting data, but we are trying to make it a useful information for our conversion process. That is the thing what we are doing right now.
I think, Ravish, that's the right approach that everyone needs to keep. So now, I think when we spoke about data, I think the second topic which comes in picture is that how do you measure the effectiveness of your outreach spending, and what practices are in place to optimize the expenditures that you guys are doing? So, Sanjeev sir, I'll start with you. And
yeah. So as I told that we are a completely different kind of decision. So for me, measurement of ROI is not very effective, I would say, because nobody in this hall would say that I have received 500 application by spending just a lakh of rupees on digital marketing. Right? Nobody would agree. Yesterday only, not yesterday, I would say first week of April, we closed our one program, PGP IARA. Right? We received, thanks to Meritto, we increased our application 126%. And my digital spend was only 1 lakh rupees on this program. Right? You can imagine 520 applications we have received with application fees of around 500 rupees. Right? And these are all high intent people, those who want to take admission. And I have to select now only 60 students. So for us, ROI is completely out of question, because we generate leads which are self-driven, and we are very focused. As far as our earlier programs like PGDM and LLM were concerned, so again, we offer courses which are very niche. Again, LLM in investment and securities law is offered only at NISM. We have competition from couple of national law universities which offer a corporate law program. So in those programs, since the lawyers, those who are having an intent to come to this, so we never advertised heavily. We had very focused search engine, and we targeted the law schools directly, and we used to get. So for us, return on investment in especially the marketing efforts is minimal. Highest, I would say. Return is highest, and our spend on data collection is minimal.
I think it's a great perspective of your business that you have shared. So, Ruchi.
So I think we were pretty much early adopters of NoPaperForms. So I'll start with that because we are on the forum with Meritto.
Right.
And I must say that I have tried before a lot of other CRMs which did not sort of work for us for various reasons. And I think what Meritto really brought in picture was customization, and super customization for us. And the kind of customer service that we got was absolutely epic, because I think we were early starters and we were doing a lot more than what a vanilla platform that NoPaperForm was offering to many of them. Right. So we went ahead and asked for so many changes, so many customizations that they happily thought that, okay, someone is probably getting there and wanting to try new things, and why not? So every morning, the conversation with my team is that let's get the disposition in place, which means that everything that we have generated so far, I need a lead disposition for every channel, for every counselor, for every stage that we are at. And then how can we turn that data into then making it possibly, if it is a counselor, then how can we really look at more personalized communication with them, right? So with lead disposition, then comes your communication strategy, which is again sort of very essential in today's world, is because you can't send out the same communication to everybody at whatever stages, right? And I think that is what something probably Meritto did bring to us, because we absolutely made it so customized that we gave them our own internal filters, our own internal levels, so that we could actually create a chunk of, or so many brackets of leads that we could speak with them or communicate with them in a certain manner. And that, I think, helps extremely well for us, that works well for us. There are so many workflows that we have created internally. There are so many filtrations that we have created internally. And good part is that they've always been there to do all the back and forth and listen to the crap that I have to say every time, that why don't we have this and we should have this, and that is something important. I don't want to waste time on it. So my team is extremely small, and hence we do not have, say, a lot of big call centers and so on and so forth, and we don't waste our times cold calling. So for us, whatever that we are picking up in terms of also calls is very, very focused, because the more you do that, there is a very fine line, as he rightly mentioned before, right, that education is a brand which will probably not want to go out there and talk with masses. So we want to be very, very careful of those things, and still wanting to try and reach the right places, right time, and so on and so forth. And I think that really helps, because there are so many bifurcations that you have given as a template that helps. And so many other things in terms of my other part of the team can utilize in terms of advisories, etc. So disposition of leads every second day has sort of made the life way easier, I would say, in terms of getting the right data and then processing it with the right communication.
Great. I think you spoke about a lot of communications, and a lot of data sets or the touch points that you spoke about were truly appreciated, actually. So moving on to Kartiki, right? So you could also share your views on like how effectively you are managing your expenditures, which is being made on acquiring the data sets.
Definitely. So, am I audible?
Hello.
Okay, so the first and the foremost thing what we look at, definitely the investment, whichever has been made into any of those specific activities has to be ROI specific. Okay, and then eventually working on those activities while we closely monitor and consistently, so that we get those desired results also. And as Ruchi has rightly highlighted about the campaign manager dashboard, what we generally tend to get, that helps us to practically monitor, with all those UTM parameters being set and tracking the performance for all of those activities which we tend to invest.
Great. All right. So,
Yeah, so I will directly take up the question. One is like when we are spending, we plan it out in a right manner. Though SPGen has become a very good brand, very prestigious brand, but we still invest a lot amount of money in terms of branding activities. That can be maybe a brand ad videos which will be continuously running throughout the year, and lead generation activity is one thing which we obviously do it with very specific stuff. Then comes the data collection activity through outreach also. Now outreach is something which, as Sanjeev rightly pointed out, it cannot give an immediate result. If I'm going to interact with say 500 or 1,000 candidates in a year, or say 10,000, out of these 10,000, it's very it's not so easy to measure also. Like out of these 10,000, have I been able to connect almost 1,000 people have been have been able to join your institution, or say applying to your institution. So that becomes I will take it that activity as a branding level activity, or as a brand recall activity, rather than a lead generation activity. Majority of the time you will interact with, say if you're doing a college outreach, interacting in the colleges, many times you will find candidates who are not interested, still they are attending. but you will have a data. And if though at SPGen we do not have any calling facility at all, in fact we miss out the incoming calls also. So it's very tedious task for any institution to collect such data and just waste your effort. So better outreach activity can be considered as a brand recall activity or say brand building or awareness activity. So that way we are very, very cautious about where we are supposed to spend our monies. Yeah.
I think this is well noted. So, Hussein, I think coming to you.
So one of the biggest challenges for any marketer today is basically tracking the offline conversions online. When I say offline conversions online means you have collected the data offline. How do you ensure that that data goes also into your CRM system like Meritto and you are able to track the entire student's journey? So you are definitely collecting data, and you also have to remember that we live in a very complex world today where a prospective student is bombarded by multiple touch points. So even when he is entering into, or when there is an outreach happens. So I'll divide this into two types of outreach. So one is the outreach where you are invited to attend a captive audience. For example, you are invited to attend a career fair organized by a school for their students. For example, let's say a leading school in Mumbai like an Oberoi school will invite NMIMS University to its campus to address all the students. But naturally, one of the biggest challenges which is over there is collecting that data. But even after you're collecting that student's data, uploading it and ensuring that there is a follow-up which happens on that data. And you have to always remember that there is always a possibility that when you're uploading that data, that student data already exists. So there is, we all know that in Meritto, it automatically goes in as secondary source. And we all work on a first-click attribution model. Because one of the biggest challenge that happens in offline to online conversions is how do you attribute it? Attribution is a very, very big challenge. And attribution models, of course, there are a lot of attribution models which exist. If you look at GA4 itself, that's Google Analytics 4 itself has a built-in attribution model. But how do you leverage that attribution model to ensure that the conversion is also attributed to that offline thing? Also, you have to remember that tracking offline, there are many times offline doesn't give you a direct conversion. Offline gives you an assisted conversion. That's also something which is a very big challenge for all marketers today. I'm sure a lot of you all would have done display campaigns, and we all know the kind of results that we tend to get from display campaigns. I always consider that outreach programs are exactly like display campaigns. It's very difficult to track, very difficult to attribute, but then there are always models which will help you, and you have to understand very clearly that when you start getting number of admissions after your outreach, so what we tend to do is after we go to a particular school or more so in a particular region, let's say we go to a place like Dehradun, Indore, and after the outreach we try to actually see if there is a spike in the searches for your brand or not. That's one of the best ways to figure out if your outreach is working or not, because if you're going to do a direct attribution, probably is that all your outreach programs and all the monies that you are spending on outreach, probably you will never see ROI coming in, or in a very rare cases or in a very niche brand or a very programs which almost have no competition, that is where you will get a very high ROI. Otherwise, it's always pertinent that in your CRM you set up in such a way that you are able to capture, even if it is a second or a third time which is getting attributed, you still definitely give it as assisted conversions. So normally what we tend to do is, of course, everybody sees the primary attribution, that where the actual first time the registration came from. But you have to remember that we are we live in a very complex world where the user is getting bombarded by communications in every way. Probably he came through search, he has given his details, he's not done the registration at all. But let's say you sent out an email which said that, hey, if you don't register today, probably you will not get to do anything for the next 1 year, which then actually triggered the registration. There's a high possibility that it will be Google search who will take away the credit for this, but the actual assisted, which was your humble email, will not get the attribution. So it's very important that when you especially see offline to online conversions, you see multi-channel attribution which is there.
Right. So great. I think we spoke about data collection first of all, right? Then we spoke about the marketing expenditure which is to be done on that data set. Then we spoke about a lot of times we spoke about sending communications and stuff. So the next question, I think it would be for you, Ramesh. I'll start from you, right? That remarketing, sending SMS, email can anytime risk diluting the brand equity. How do you manage that challenge?
Yeah, very much. I agree. Like too much of bombardment of communication in the name. Okay, in the name of nurturing, sometimes we overdo, communications. So imagine this one lead, whatever might be generating in our system, and possibility this lead might be generated, say in our at SPGen we have multiple programs. Our TG happens to be similar for our executive education, for our global program, for our full-time program, and in a way, if this person is getting bombardment by each program at least 3 times in a week, I'm sure he will get fed up. Probably he will put up in a spam kind of a thing. And imagine this kind of email bombardment will be happening by X number of institutions, where his database will be leaked also. Sometimes he might be unknowingly entered, or by default his data must be captured. So that way, we believe like at our end, and we go for a very soft kind of a remarketing. Yes, that is fine for a few days what we'll be doing. SMS we never sent. We are always very, very, very brand conscious, and at the same time, we happen to nurture them through various emails. That too, our email happens to be a very good kind of a communication, a very good kind of a content. If the content is not really good, the possibility the candidate will not be able to open the email also. So we have to just track it out. What kind of a content has gone, which has given us the best result in terms of opening, in terms of click rate, and everything. And secondly, one thing which has been observed, I guess people have not got fed up when SPGen is sending some kind of a messages is through WhatsApp. So WhatsApp is something like which has worked very well. Other ways, we are very conscious. We'll be not bothering too much to them, very, very passively. Very important information is there, then we are trying to reach out to them. That is the way we are maintaining our brand sanctity. Overburden, I'm sure it will dilute the brand. Yeah.
Great, Ramesh. So Ruchi, I think you spoke about having a small team, right? And you told me that you told us that most of the time you're just nurturing the students through marketing automations or whatsoever channels, like the communication channels that we have. So how do you overcome this challenge of sending communications and making sure that the brand equity doesn't dilute?
Absolutely. So one is that to talk about my first point that I mentioned, that intent. So if somebody has shown an intent, only that person gets the communication. Once that is done, there is a flow of conversations or touch points that are validated, and only then you send the next set of communication to them, or else you probably put them out of the communication funnel. So we do use the marketing automation cloud system that you guys have also given. So a lot of these automated emails and stuff like that would go to them, reach to them. But every time you do that, you are absolutely bombarding them with too much of information, and that's also wrong. So you look at the activity and the engagement rates of them, and then you slow down those activities depending on that, right? You give them subscription, non-subscription ideas every now and then on the face of it, so that they know that this is not something that we are pushing in their throat, but they probably could just get out of the funnel. One is, validating the data every now and then is absolutely important and pertinent to any data nurturing. Second would be, I think, overdoing in education and overboarding in terms of advertising in education itself is seen to be bad, right? And it's so much that I think it's compared with no education brand really advertises. Why do you want to? If you are advertising, you are probably not great, right? And that's the mentality we have for educational branding and advertising. So SMS doesn't, I think SMS had its peak time. It doesn't work anymore after the try, certain notifications from them and so forth. Even WhatsApp Business, they started out, but WhatsApp Business also has such algo that even when you send out so many communications, they will not send it or get it delivered if it is too much. So there is a lot behind in terms of algorithms that work in all these mediums. Okay, like WhatsApp Business and so forth. Like, we can't ruin it for them also as a product. So they are very smart to do that on our behalf. But I think, WhatsApp Business has been extremely crucial, and that is only so for all these things that you mentioned. So emails are probably sent out to the most of them, right? WhatsApp is only sent to very validated data, which is extremely personal. So you can't really, go beyond that line with them. I get so many WhatsApp Business messages that I have to literally archive most of them, that I don't, and probably I will go and block it. And these are well-known businesses, right? They are just pushing so much of content with WhatsApp. It's no more personal. There is no personal space. And when you think of that, you're thinking of that all the other places a student is bombarded when he's supposed to prepare. So WhatsApp is very, very validating in terms of just sending to, say, a couple of hundreds who really are meant to be in the pipeline for us. That's it.
Great. So Sanjeev sir, coming to you, I think, right, you don't have a problem with data. You have a lot of data. So, I mean, how do you manage this outcome of not diluting not risking the brand equity?
Yeah, so our challenge is that we need most of the communication which is mostly informative, not per se a branding or advertising. Rather, we organize a lot of educational webinars or we create awareness towards securities market and financial services. So our most of the communication is related to that only. We hardly send communication for admissions, take admission at NISM or join our courses. We hardly send any such communication. But we do organize, in a month I organize around 8 webinars and 3 to 4 MDPs in online mode. So, and every month our database increases by close to 30 to 40,000 new joinees. So we filter out the data based on past historical where the people have not responded or deleted the data, and then we keep on adding fresh data to that, and we just send the informative communication about our upcoming webinars and MDPs. We hardly send any communication, advertising or branding.
Great. So Kartiki, I think.
Being a premium institute and catering to a very niche segment, what we intend to focusing on, the value added communication, how we can send it to our database, right? We generally don't send SMS, but we focus generally on emails and WhatsApp.
So these are the communication channels that you're using in order to communicate with the students in an appropriate manner, right?
Right.
Great. And so, Rosine, sir.
So when it comes to data, I don't know whether I should say we are fortunate or as marketers, we are lucky that we do not have stringent rules which are there in European markets like GDPR, because GDPR rules are very strict. Brands are pulled up when any unsolicited mails are being sent out. Well, I can say as a marketer, and it's the same thing. It's like our driving on the roads. The rules are there, but they are just there for the sake of it. So there's the same thing with data also. So yes, I agree that there are tons of emails which everybody gets, and one of the biggest challenge which happens is there are a lot of strong spam filters which have come in. So email marketing has really evolved, and let's face it, a lot of people even around 5 years back when Messenger started coming in, when WhatsApp started becoming stronger, a lot of marketers not only in India but even globally felt that it's the demise of the email. Email is possibly not going to survive or email is going to die. But what has happened is, over a period of these years, email has actually evolved, and it is important for marketers to understand how the communication is happening. If you are going to send out customized emails, the biggest challenge that most marketers do is it's a one size fits all. One email goes to 1 million people, and that's where the trouble starts. That is where, as rightly said by my co-panelist, that people start pushing you in spam. People don't bother reading about it, or people tend to archive it. So that is a challenge which happens. You do not want that to happen to your brand, and that is where your customization comes in. And customization in any communication, whether it is email, whether it is your humble SMS, or even whether it's your WhatsApp communication, which is very personalized. You have to understand that WhatsApp is a very personalized channel, and if you are going to send the same communication to all your users, probably as she does it, it's just keep on archiving it. So your brand is continuously investing money, and that is what leads to your brand dilution. If you are able to customize your message to the right audience and send it, the second most important thing, sending it at the right time. We tend to never measure that, when we have sent things in the morning, are they working? Whether we are sending it in the afternoon, is it working? Is it working in the evening time, or is it working in the night? Our biggest challenge is digital marketing actually starts when your campaign is actually starting. That is where your actual work starts. You need to ensure that you measure the efficacy and see if your communication is effective. In fact, you can even your customize, which is there. It could be a very simple customization, but just instead of saying hello student or hello participant or hello, just a simple thing like hello Burzin, which is I will immediately get to see it. Other thing is, even in emails, it depends on what your subject line is. Your subject line is the most important thing. It is always better to send out multiple subject lines. Test and learning is one of the most important things which is there, whether it is education sector, FMCG, BFSI, you name the segment. These are the rules which are there. Your communication rules don't change, whether it's in education or you take any other sector for sure.
Great. I think triggering out personalized communication is what I also agree upon, right? And now talking about the crux of all the topics that we discussed, right? So I want to start from you, Ramesh. So what is that one data point or enrollment metric that you check every day before you go to sleep?
Okay. I guess this is something, very tricky question when it comes to Indian market.
Right.
The campaign period might be, varying from programs to programs depending on UG, PG, whatever. Very specifically when it comes to SPGen, I am very clear it's an Indian mentality. People have a tendency to fill it up the form and everything at the last moment. They will wait for the last day, last deadline. We generally, many B schools do have a time limit of 5 o'clock in the evening. We have not kept 5 o'clock. We have kept till 12 o'clock. So sometimes we receive a call like, is it getting over at 5 o'clock? So what I typically do is before sleeping, of course, NPF is there on mobile. Earlier it was not there. So I just keep on refreshing the data, what is going on. Last 10 days, that's it. So last 10 days, I guess automatically your flow and everything will give you where exactly you are going to reach, how many kind of an applications you are going to receive. So 10 days, I will just check it out, what kind of a leads, so how many leads have been generated and how much paid applications have come up. And now I'm talking about only the paid applications. Admissions is something different, where a lot of filtrations will come up depending on a CAT score, profile and other things. So admission is not a bother for us. We believe in getting a more number of applications so that we can have a diversified batch. So my job is last 10 days, I will ensure in fact, not before sleeping, but after every half an hour, 1 hour, I will be just refreshing the NPF not Meritto. I will just keep on refreshing the app so that I can get the real-time data. That's what I do.
Great. I think getting updated on numbers on runtime basis is equally important. So coming to you, Karthikeya, what do you think? What is your data point that you?
So definitely,
check?
I will take his take. Last 2 to 3 days is something which is going to be critical for us in terms of spiking up in the application form.
Okay.
So that is where I tend to focus focus more on. And then admissions, definitely it comes at a later phase because we have got a very rigorous admission process. We have our own internal entrance exam followed by the personal interview round, and then the screening has to happen. So yeah.
So coming to you, Sanjeev sir.
Yeah.
So I'm lucky that way. I don't check any data while I go to sleep. First thing in the morning, I receive a mail from my counselor about number of paid applications. So I don't, after that, I tell my team, don't send me any data throughout the day. And I'm not going to see anything while I go to sleep. Next day morning, you send me the refresh data. So that way I'm very lucky because my numbers are self-driven. As he said that he don't have even a calling team. I don't also have the privilege of having a calling team. And on a regular basis, we get a complaint that nobody responds on the helpline number given, right? So this is a challenge which I also face. But I'm lucky that way that I get numbers without much of an effort.
Great. Coming to you, Ruchi. I mean,
I think with all the higher education programs, apps are absolutely a must to check. But I would love to understand my engagement rate in terms of my emails and how they worked. So CTRs do matter to me. Besides that, I think the TOEFL, which means that my top funnel and how is that increasing every second or third day is absolutely important because that's directly proportional to what I'm going to probably get towards the end of it. As he said that everybody waits till 12, and that is absolutely true. I think about 40% of our apps are in that last day and the last moment, and everybody's still filling the form at 12. We're still getting calls at 12. Oh, is this required or no, and so on. I don't know what high people get out of it, but that's hilarious, and it has been one of those moments for us also internally that we absolutely enjoy. So yeah,
I think yes, that is how it is, right? That is how students are, and that is what the trend also says. So coming to you, Urzeen sir.
So for us, we have to be, we are awake every night. We are not fortunate enough to we are there, considering we have multiple schools across multiple campuses. So one of the biggest things that what I tend to do is to ensure that there is good number of leads in my workable leads. So that's one of the finals. That's one of the metric which I tend to check to ensure that there is good amount of pipeline for people who are there in our call center to call and to follow up, because that's the most important thing. Conversions, yes, we are all we are all fortunate enough to work for very strong brands, and definitely conversions will happen, but it's also important to nurture the leads. As Ruchi said very clearly, well rightly, that the TOEFL is very, very important, and it's important to see that your campaigns which are running are delivering the effective really effective in your communication, and that those are the most important metrics that I tend to see.
I think great. So we will close this panel with this. This was the last question, but I must say that whatever learnings that all of you have given me, I do have a lot of key takeaways to take back home, and I think I'm going to discuss all these topics with my team internally as well, right? And with the CS who is taking care of your account and all of yours. So yes, thank you so much for gracing this event with your presence, and thank you so much for coming, right? For making this Evolve chapter of Mumbai a great event. This is because of you only, all of you guys, all of our partners who are associated with us, who are saying good about us, right? You only give us the confidence to go better, do better, and that is what we are doing in future as well. That we hope to do it in future as well. So great. I think it was great talking to you, interacting with you all.